Hi guys, my name is Tito. I make videos on personal finance on my other channel. On this channel, I talk about other things, like today when I'll be reviewing the new Nollywood horror thriller, Ile Owo, House of Money. Ile Owo is about Busola, a young nurse who's looking for love. Her prayers are seemingly answered when she meets and falls in love with a mysterious young man named Tunji. But unknown to her, Tunji is a member of Ile Owo, a dynasty whose men are rooted in diabolical practices. Now, I'll try and keep this review spoiler free. However, there are certain things I may talk about in the course of the review that may require some context, which may make me reveal one or two intricate details about the movie. If I do, I apologize, but largely I'll try and keep things spoiler free. Now, this movie, Ile Owo, is directed by Olaitan, who co-directed Dwindle with Kayode Kasum. Kayode Kasum produces this film, Ile Owo. Now, with that semi-relevant information to one side, let's talk about the performances in Ile Owo. Immaculata Oko Kasum. Ima did a good job playing Busola, a naive young nurse desperately looking for love who happens to meet this mysterious man. And as far as a female lead in a horror film goes, she did okay. I could really tell that Ima was putting a lot of effort into it in terms of being well-rounded, because with a female lead like that in a horror film, you're naive, you're happy-go-lucky, then there are moments when you're also terrified and whatnot. Ima really gave it her all and did her best, but I just really wasn't feeling that much of a connection with the character because I don't think we got enough backstory and enough nuance and enough to make us feel what the character was going through or to sympathize with her. For instance, with horror films, when the lead is scared, you're also meant to feel scared. When she's happy, you're meant to feel happy. When she's sad, you're meant to feel sad. But that connection wasn't there, in my opinion. I wasn't feeling it, and I think it's because we didn't get to know enough about the character. But in terms of performance, Ima did a good job, I think. Efa Iwara. Efa plays Tunji, the mysterious young man trying to enchant Busola, and the character was creepy but not scary, in my opinion, and I think they should have been going for scary with that character. I got more chills from Efa's character in the second season of Rumor Has It than I did from this movie. But still, Efa gave a good performance. It was convincing. I just wish the character was a bit more scary, but it was still refreshing to see Efa do something different for a change. Tina Amba plays Busola's stern mother, classic Tina Amba, and she did a very good job. Her role was very convincing, or performance rather was very convincing. The only thing that pained me about that character was that the fact that they didn't flesh out the relationship between that character and her husband, which was played by Akin, because it felt like there was some resentment there, but they never explored that, and I felt like that was a missed opportunity. Understanding what was going on between that couple would have really helped the story and what happened with both characters, in my opinion. Akin was also good as Busola's dad. It was nice to see him as something other than a very rich Yoruba man for a change. And it would have been nice, though, to have understood more about the character, his motivations, and for one, what happened to his leg. Because when we meet the guy, he's bedridden because he has an injury on his leg, but we don't get that context or that, development in terms of what happened to the guy and what his religious beliefs were, because we just don't get anything about his motivation. And it's not just with this character, it's with most of the characters in the film. We don't know what their motivations were, where they were coming from, where they were in the movie, and where they were trying to go. Bisola Aiyeola was in the film as like a priestess or like a soothsayer type of character. If you've seen the trailer, you get it. She was okay. Sophie Alakija was in the film as well, with like 4 very short scenes, and that was particularly painful for me because it felt like the key to understanding what was happening in the film was in the hands of Sophie Alakija's character. But again, the character isn't properly developed and we don't really get much from the character at all. Mofe, Duncan, Demola, Adedoyin, and Temisan Emmanuel are also in the film with like 2 or 3 scenes each in the movie and with very few lines. In fact, their lines are so limited that I can't even analyze their performances because there wasn't that much screen time to evaluate what they were delivering on screen. Hey guys, I'm interrupting this video very briefly to ask a quick favor of you. Please like this video by clicking on the like button and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the red subscribe button. I'm not getting paid for these videos by YouTube yet, so the only real encouragement I get is when I see you guys liking my video and subscribing to the channel. So please make a YouTuber's day today and tutori me a little bit by clicking on that like button and subscribing to my channel as well. Thank you so much if you've done that. I really appreciate you. Now let's get back to the video. What I liked that this film dared to be different. Since I saw Juju Stories back in January, I decided that I'd like to see Nollywood take on more horror films, right? But from seeing this film, Ile Owo, I realized that it's not just about Nollywood taking on horror, it's also about telling a story effectively too, which this film, in my opinion, did not do. They had a good story, they just didn't tell the story in a complete, concise, and comprehensive way. And yeah, I think I'll delve more into that when I talk about what I didn't like about the movie. But again, I did like the fact that they tried to be different and they took on something different from what we've been seeing from Nollywood for so long. What I didn't like the lack of character development in this movie. I didn't really feel a connection with the characters because I didn't get to know enough about the characters, and I feel that's why this film fell flat on its face, because things were just happening to the main characters, i.e. Busola and her family members, without us really knowing why they were happening to them or the consequences of, you know, what was happening. For example, with Sophie's character and with Ima's character, they were chosen to be sacrificed, right? And we had a general idea of why they needed them for the sacrifice, but we didn't know why those two women. And also we didn't know what was going to happen to them once the sacrifice was complete. What would be the end result of a successful sacrifice of these two young ladies? They didn't tell us what was going to happen. We were just, you know, on this ride where they're trying to sacrifice these two young women. So the development of the characters and even the story in terms of what happened, what's happening, and what's going to happen really wasn't there. And I feel that's kind of what, you know, made them shoot themselves in the foot with this movie. Also, a bit more exposition would have been nice. I mean, at the beginning of the film, they did set the foundation and say what was going to happen if this other thing didn't happen. But that sequence in the movie was decades, if not centuries earlier. When they fast forwarded to present day, there should have been an update, you know, of what was going on and what had been going on from what we saw at the beginning in the past to what is happening now, present day, where we are in the movie. That wasn't there. It was very frustrating, and I really don't understand how they could have overlooked that element in the movie. Secondly, the pacing in this film really wasn't it. This film kind of dragged. It's a film that's just under 2 hours, but it will feel like it's more than 2 hours. At first, I was happy. I thought this was a good thing. I thought they were pacing themselves, taking things slow, setting the foundation. Then all of a sudden, in the final act, in the third act, things would just go crazy and exciting, right? Kind of how Quentin Tarantino does with his movies. In his films, things are very quiet, very slow at the beginning, but all of a sudden, towards the end, things just go crazy and bananas, right? I thought that was what was going to happen in this film. It wasn't the case. Things just fizzled out towards the end in a very uninspiring way. Who should see it? People who are like into abstract movies, I think they may enjoy this film, especially if you're into like abstract horror or thriller. Also, people who want to make out in the cinema with their boyfriend or girlfriend. Because the pacing of this movie is so slow, you can watch like the first 7 to 10 minutes and then all of a sudden you can start making out with your boyfriend or girlfriend for like another 10 to 15 minutes and then watch the movie again and you'd still be following. Nothing much would have happened while you were making out. So you can alternate between watching the movie and making out in the cinema. And I think you'll be good. So it'll be like 2 birds with 1 stone. I've never made out in the cinema now that I think of it, but I hear it's really awesome and it's quite a thrill. Maybe someday, who knows? In conclusion, this movie felt like the final year project of a film student in the sense that it felt quite experimental and it felt like the kind of thing that you watch or that you screen in front of a panel or your supervisor, and then when they're done watching it, you explain to them what they just saw because you know that they didn't understand the project that you just showed them, right? And that's how, you know, this film felt. I mean, if the director or the writer or the producer was on hand to explain what we just saw in the cinema, then it would have been a bit better. But because that won't happen when people go and watch this film in the cinema, lots of people are going to leave the cinema feeling quite confused and having lots of questions, and not in a good way. Now, don't get me wrong, this film does have its audience, but I just don't think it's a mainstream audience. I think this works better as an indie film or a film that, you know, does the film festival circuit. But for something that is in cinemas, in Nigeria for that matter, I don't think it's going to fly because the film is just too abstract. And to be honest, I think the film has its head up its ass if it expects a mainstream audience to go and see this movie and understand what was happening, essentially. Not even what they were getting at. I kind of understand what they were getting at, but we did not know who is who in this film. And I think the people behind the film will feel, well, you know, you didn't understand what was going on or who was who because you weren't paying attention. If you paid attention, you'd get it. It's not that. The storytelling in this film could have been way better. The people behind this film should have gotten off their high horse to have explained things. And I think they intentionally tried not to explain things in a bid to be deep or to be abstract or to be whatever. Hence, the movie having its head up its own ass. That said though, no hard feelings to the people that were involved with this project. I actually know a number of people that were involved with this movie, Ile Owo. Fun fact, Odun Eweni of Piggyvest was an executive producer of this movie. I was quite surprised to see her name in the opening credits as an executive producer. Anyway, for those of you who I know that were in this film or involved with the film, no hard feelings. I'm just telling it how I see it. And don't worry about this review affecting the bottom line or the earnings of your movie. Not that many people watch my reviews, and even fewer of them actually plan to go and see the movies in cinemas, even when I do say that I'll enjoy the movie. So yeah, don't take it too personal, okay? Yeah, that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this review. If you liked it, please like it by clicking on the like button just underneath the video, and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the red subscribe button. On this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews, I also talk about relationships. I have some very interesting relationship videos coming out really soon next month. Please check them out, but you can also check my catalog of old relationship videos by clicking the card in the corner of the screen. And you can also check out some of my movie reviews. I just reviewed the movie that everyone is talking about on Netflix, Glamour Girls. You can check that out. And I don't just have this YouTube channel, I also have another YouTube channel where I talk about personal finance, saving and investing, because those things are very important, especially for us young people. To check that channel out, you can click, or you can check the description box down below for the link to my personal finance channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go out and see Ile Owo if you're willing to try something different, if you're willing to experiment. And once you've seen it, come and let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about the movie. Yeah, thanks for the final time, guys. I will see you in the next one. Take care.